Life is full of challenges, isn't it? Some you see coming, and others just hit you out of nowhere. But have you ever noticed that some people seem to have this inner playbook? A kind of strength that helps them navigate whatever life throws their way? Do you ever feel kind of overwhelmed by it all? Like you're just bouncing from one problem to the next without any real strategy? Well, what if I told you there is a battle plan, and it was forged in some of the most intense training environments on Earth? Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to break down this 5-point battle plan, and it's all inspired by the hard-earned wisdom of elite soldiers like the Navy SEALs and Royal Marines. We'll kick things off with the absolute foundation of success, discipline. Then, believe it or not, we'll talk about why making your bed is so powerful. After that, we'll see how failure can actually be your greatest strength, why you absolutely cannot win alone, and finally, the one thing that can solve almost any problem. All right, first up, the cornerstone of everything. The foundation of discipline. Now, the secret here, and it's a big one, is that it all starts small. This isn't about some huge heroic act on day one. Nope. It's about building a fortress of mental toughness, one tiny, consistent brick at a time. So, what are we really talking about when we say discipline? Well, the Royal Marines have this ethos that just nails it. Self-discipline is simply the ability to resist the easy option. It's doing what has to be done, not when you feel like it, but when it needs to be done. Success isn't just for the lucky ones, it's for those who have put in the work to toughen their minds through these small, daily choices. And this quote, this just says it all. Success is not an isolated event, it is the culmination of daily habits. Just let that sink in for a second. The life you want isn't going to be built in a single day. It's built daily. It's those small, consistent things you do that create this unstoppable momentum. Okay, so if it all starts with small, daily actions, where do you begin? Well, this brings us to Admiral William H. McRaven's most famous lesson, one that millions of people have heard. It's your very first mission of the day, why you absolutely should make your bed. Now, what's so fascinating is the psychology behind this. Come on, it's just making a bed, right? But it's so much more. First, you accomplish your very first task of the day. Done. That gives you this little jolt of pride. And that feeling encourages you to tackle another task, and then another. It hammers home the idea that the little things really do matter, and it creates this positive feedback loop that can power your entire day. But the real magic might just come at the end of the day. As Admiral McRaven says, even if you have a totally miserable day, you'll come home to a bed that you made. That little patch of order that you created, it gives you hope. It's a quiet little message that tomorrow can be better. It's a small victory you can always count on. A reminder of what you're capable of, even on the worst of days. Okay, but what happens when things really go south? I mean, when it's not just a miserable day, but you actively fail at something. Well, this leads us to a really crucial part of the SEAL mindset, understanding that failure actually makes you stronger. It's all about learning not to fear what they called the circus. So in SEAL training, the circus is a very specific thing. It's a punishment. If you fail to meet a standard, maybe your swim time was too slow or your uniform wasn't perfect for inspection, boom, you were on the circus list. And that meant an extra 2 hours of brutal physical training led by instructors who were hardened combat vets. Trust me, nobody wanted to be on that list. But here's the twist. For the guys who didn't quit, getting through the circus had this unexpected effect. It actually made them stronger. They ended up doing more push-ups, more pull-ups. Yeah, they were exhausted, but by weathering that storm of failure, they came out the other side with more grit, more resilience for whatever came next. And this is the direct connection to our own lives, right? The training circus is a punishment for not meeting a physical standard. But the circus of life, that's the project at work that just blows up, the career setback you didn't see coming, or the personal struggles we all go through. The lesson is exactly the same. If you can just hang on and get through it, you will come out stronger on the other side. Now, getting through failure is tough, but you know what's nearly impossible? Doing it all by yourself. And that brings us to our next principle, really understanding the power of your team. In SEAL training, you learn this lesson fast. You can't paddle the boat alone. So the instructors give each 7-man crew this small rubber boat. The mission sounds simple, just paddle out through the massive waves of the Pacific. But what you learn in about 5 seconds is that if every single person isn't paddling in perfect sync with the exact same effort, that boat gets turned sideways and just crushed by the surf. It doesn't matter if you're the strongest person in the boat, you cannot get through those waves by yourself, period. And this lesson really hit home for Admiral McRaven years later after a parachute accident that almost killed him. One minute, he was the guy in charge, the big dog, and the next, he was completely helpless in a hospital bed. He had to rely on his wife, his SEAL brothers, and his doctors to get back on his feet. As he puts it, you better make as many friends as you can because you can't go it alone. You just can't. Okay, on to our final principle. This is the engine that drives everything else we've talked about. It's the simplest on paper, but maybe the hardest to live by. Hard work solves everything. It is the fundamental way you overcome obstacles and earn respect. You know, Admiral McRaven's entire book, Make Your Bed, is built on all these lessons. But the one common thread tying them all together is this. It's not about being the most talented person in the room or the smartest. In the end, it really just comes down to pure will. And look, hard work isn't complicated. It's about showing up. As McRaven learned when he was a young officer trying to prove himself to combat veterans, it's about getting there early, staying late, and just showing that you have the will to do whatever it takes. That is how you earn the respect of the people around you. So let's bring it all home. Here's your new battle plan. Number 1, start every single day with a completed task to build that momentum. 2, embrace failure. Don't run from it. See it for what it is, a chance to get stronger. 3, find your boat crew. Find the people who will help you paddle when the waves get rough. And 4, never, ever underestimate the raw power of just plain hard work. Look, this isn't just a bunch of nice ideas. It's a call to action. So that leaves us with one last question. Forget about changing the entire world for a second. What is the one small thing you will do tomorrow, your first completed task, to start changing your world?